Hello, Dr. Coker here, and this is a guide to the boss encounters found in Ktisis Hyperboreia. We've been chasing Hermes for a while, and this is where he's holed up. This is a brand new channel, so I'd appreciate a like and subscribe to help it get started. Now, let's talk about these bosses. The first boss we'll encounter here is Lyssa, a real wolf girl. She'll typically open with Skull Dasher, a hard hitter that targets the tank. Tanks should use mitigation for it. Next, the one you'll remember her for, Frostbite and Seek. She'll pause at the center of the floor for a moment and then vanish in a quick blizzard. She will leave paw prints in the snow. You need to quickly determine where they end because that's where you need to be. She'll reappear and blast the rest of the arena with heavy damage. She'll also occasionally cast Icicle. Yes, it's spelled a bit differently than icicle. Anyway, this will put small AoE circles around the edge and drop icicles on them, followed by marked line AoE damage across the floor. Just stay off the markers and you'll be fine. Another spell she does is Frigid Stomp, which does unavoidable damage to all players. Healers, make sure no one is too low for this. Finally, she will do Heavy Smash, a simple spell that requires everyone to stack that often happens during Icicle to make things a little more interesting. Next boss is Ladon Lord, the three-headed snake thing. He'll hit the tank with Scratch early on. Tanks will want to use a defense cooldown for it. His signature combo is Inhale and Pyrrhic Breath. When he inhales, one or two of his heads will get large. Nothing to do about this yet, but as he starts casting Pyrrhic Breath, he will lock in position and you will need to get to a region that corresponds to a head that is not enlarged. So if the middle head is normal sized, you will want to be in front of him. Or if one of his side heads is normal sized, you will want to be on that side of him. His Pyrrhic Breath will then blast all regions where his heads were enlarged. He will also summon Pyrrhic Spheres, which will do Bomberman-like damage, a bunch of bombs that explode in cross patterns, so avoid standing in those. Intimidation does room-wide unavoidable damage. Healers beware. Finally, there's Pyrrhic Blast, where a player is marked with a stack marker and everyone needs to stack to share the damage. Now we come to the last boss, Hermes, who just wants to know the meaning of life. He typically opens with Trismegistos, which does room-wide unavoidable damage. Just heal through it. Sometimes he'll cast True Bravery. It's important that the tank interrupt this one, because if the cast completes, the boss will get a powerful buff. Throughout the fight, he will frequently cast Double or Quadruple. Double will modify the next spell he casts, and Quadruple will modify the next two spells he casts. As I cover the next few spells, I'll explain what effects this modification adds to them. The first of which is True Tornado. This is a heavy hit on the tank, and if modified, the tank will drop an AoE marker on the ground. Tanks should use mitigation and get healed through it, and of course get out of the AoE afterwards. Another of these spells is True Arrow. This will put line AoE markers on multiple players. They won't be able to avoid the hit, but they can and should avoid overlapping lines to avoid multiple hits. If this spell is modified, it will leave behind a second line AoE that can be avoided. True Arrow 2 is similar, but it puts circle AoE markers on players and they need to spread out before taking the unavoidable hit, and if modified, it also leaves behind a second group of circles that can be avoided. When he casts Meteor, you will see 4 large pulsing circular AoE markers that span the whole floor. The best thing to do here is to stand in the middle. There you will take the least amount of damage. The trickiest one is probably Hermetica, but it's not too bad if you know what to do. This will put green panels on the edge of the circle that will blast beams that do powerful damage and knockback. You may have to spin your camera and see which way they're facing to avoid the hit. If doubled or quadrupled, you will see more panels and they will cover the whole floor. In this case, you have to remember the order in which they spawn and move around to dodge them in order. If there are meteors left behind on the floor, then remember which panels spawned first and quickly find the undamaged meteor. Stand behind the undamaged meteor, breaking line of sight with the first panels that were spawned. It will protect you when they blast. Then quickly move to break line of sight with the second set of panels that were spawned. It will protect you a second time. And that's it for Ktisis Hyperboreia. See you next time.
My power!